Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another interesting day because we are heading to Bathurst, if the correct video would load. There we go. We're headed over to Bathurst tonight. It's the next round of the SIMseniors Championship, round 4 here in the season, and of course, one of the last rounds before the mid-season break. My name's Ben Sapsford. I will be your guide through tonight's racing, of course, as always, and we've got plenty to talk about. Of course, Mount Bathurst, it's a unique track in its own right. It's one of the most vertical on the calendar and one of the most challenging, particularly through that top section before you start to head down the hill. You've got Skyline, you've got the bends, and all the way down to that final chicane before that ending left-hand corner. It's all to play for here, and it's going to be certainly a sight to see. You might hear it in the background already. That is the engines of the race cars making their way to the track, and it's going to be electric. So welcome to everyone in the chat as well. If you have got a driver you are rooting for, be sure to let us know. And with that, I think it's only right, only fair, we jump straight to trackside and we get on board with some of the action. You know how it goes. First 10 minutes of qualifying, it's bronze and silver class drivers only, followed shortly by the last 10 minutes where the gold class, the top pedigree here in SIMseniors, show us what they have under the hood. But it's looking like a bit of an interesting one tonight, as we have got a couple of championships potentially in play. We have got, of course, John Mitchell, the car to beat out of last round, but Visharek not too far behind with a couple of points in his Ferrari, just eking away at that championship lead and potentially could see the opportunity fall in his lap today. Not to mention with the bronze, you've got Ibrahim Diekman, who we're on board with right now, 46 points on the table and proving a very consistent driver throughout the championship so far. He's not necessarily made any major show stoppers, but he's just been there. He's been solid and he has walked his way through a really strong performance weekend to weekend. 4th place on the inaugural round, of course, and then into the next round following that he won that one. That was in Barcelona, and then the Red Bull Ring, continuing that fine form, is really starting to show a strong run here as one of the top runners for the title alongside Helge Olsen, who has also had a big upturn in form compared to prior seasons. But let's see how the drivers do now. Alex North, he's going to be the first car to cross that start-finish line. He's not quite where he wants to be in terms of the Silver Championship, so maybe this track will turn his fortunes around. Let's jump aboard. Let's see what he's got as he heads into Hell's Corner first before he starts to make his way up the dreaded hill. Key areas you want to be looking out for: cutting. Of course, McPhillamy Park is a very almost flat out piece of track there. You've got to be careful, don't want to go too far into the gravel. And then controlling your speed, feathering the brakes all the way down through the S's and Dipper, making your way down the Conrod straight. But starting to make his way up. Brakes is on fine form, keeping it well within the track and making his way up into the cutting now. Careful of those walls. It almost has a hybrid feel. You've got that street circuit boundary, but racetrack speeds. See Diekman not too far behind, following in the trail. He's in that Aston Martin now, making his way through McPhillamy. This is what we mean about full-on, flat out, before he dives his way down the hill. And now, say, feathering on the brakes, using the gearing of the car to your advantage to boot. Going to be certainly feeling a lot of work against him. Gravity is not going to be helping his case. But nicely done out of Forest Selbone into the Conrod straight now. Certainly curious to what kind of performance he brings to the table. Of course, his first lap on the board, he is our benchmark. And now making his way into the chase. Final chicane before that left hand to finish the lap. That's Murray's. Looking like the times, the deltas could be in his favour here. He now makes his way first lap on the boards. It's the number 207 of the Vantage. What's it going to be? It's a 2 minutes and 3 seconds. Is anyone in class going to be challenging that? Let's see how the rest of the field is doing. Diekman with a 205.9 in the bronze side of things. And this is on board with Stuart Holmes, going to be seeing if he can push that envelope as well. Christian Sullivan, Michael Bull, both across the line. Holmes in third place. Going to be a bronze early showing as Paul Murray in that Pepsi Max McLaren. He's going to come through just half a tenth faster and just pip him out for the lead of the group. Sullivan, of course, being the one to watch as well on the bronze. But just having been outdone, Barry Finley in the Mustang. He's got a lot of pace and he's putting it to good use here at a, well, I'd say is a more power-oriented circuit. You get a lot of speed, particularly coming out of the Conrad Straight here. Let's see what Olsen has in store, though. Second in the championship. Is that reflected in qualifying? Visharek has gone fastest on the course, 2 minutes and 2 seconds, as Olsen only manages a 2 minutes 6. Frank Tennant just coming across the lines, a 4.1. So, seeing a few different faces and names proving themselves as well. Potentially room for an upset. But time is of the essence here. A lot of drivers who have yet to set a time either. Oscom, for example, he's coming up to the line, but he invalidated his previous turn. Same goes with Iro in the silver. We know him to be a driver who likes to take things a little bit more conservatively, so I'm sure Bathurst is giving him no shortage of challenge here. But it's a lovely day for it. 25 degrees track, 22 degree ambient, almost the perfect conditions to get the most out of those race cars. He's coming up on a little bit of traffic. Let's see how he handles it. Looks like they are also on laps of their own. May not pose an issue. And have the number 19 of Diekman coming across the line soon. Likely to set a new lap, or at least start a new lap, as he did not get that previous one counted. New best from Christian Sullivan. He's in 6th place as number 90 car, I believe, heading into the pits. Here's Iro, now completing what hopefully is his first legal run. Looking like it's going to be in the 205s, and it is a 203. Massively impressive. Porsche has managed to get his way into 3rd place, although Visharek is going to keep pushing that bar. And he's going to get a 202.4, almost a second clear of the Porsche that we just saw cross that line. There we see Dismiquez, the number 420 car, up to the line now. Any improvements here from the Porsche? It's a 204.8, so very nicely done. I do believe that that is 5th in group. Yes, that is 5th in class there for Roger. And with that, last couple of cars yet to set a time. Quinn-Kellenberg, Homer, Arscombe, all yet to put something on the boards and need to urgently. Homer's going to answer the call with a 203.3, so making good on that initial issue as Arscombe comes up to the line. Is there going to be anything here from the Aston? Yes, there is, and that is another solid time as well to 3.220. He's just 8 milliseconds behind the Porsche we saw moments ago. Randy Zimmer, another impressive feat, 202.6. He's going to displace those top runners. He's going to get himself on the front row. Wolf's got another chance to hit it big here. Trickett as well needs to get something on the boards. He's not looking the most confident right now. Oh, looks like we just missed a major moment between Quinn-Kellenberg and another car. Let's jump aboard with Helicam. Remember, this is qualifying, so these kind of incidents mean much more. They've only got a minute and a half left. So you can see just losing the car in the skyline and into the S's, smashing into the inside wall. And then looks like, yeah, that's Zimmer making heavy contact as he returned to the pit lane. Brutal stuff. Next cars coming up. I believe that is Smith. Closely followed by Iro there. Iro not getting a time improvement like you would hope and peeling off into the pit lane. Last minute on the clock before the gold class cars make their way through. You see his Zimmer with the invalidation, of course. Heavy contact damage from collision with Quinkellenberg. Looks like he's still going to keep going despite the damage. I don't think he's going to be seeing any improvements, despite best hopes. A couple of other cars. There's Olsen back into the pits. We have also Anil Theodsen going into the pits as well. Best he could muster a 209.2. His Homer coming up with a 202.7, so he's going to be in the top 5. And confidently so. Arscombe making his way up now. Further improvements and just leapfrogging Homer as he's not long come across the line. And here we are, 5 seconds before they all go, and you can see all the gold class cars frantically lining up, looking for any kind of advantage, wanting to jump the rest of the field. Minute they are released. Looks like Lenatus, in traditional fashion, as we've seen him time and time again, is going to be first out. The man certainly knows how to get a good jump out on qualifying. Looks like he's closely followed by, I believe that is Guillemard and Reed. We'll check in with the gold class cars in a moment. Last runs here for bronze and silver. There's going to be Paul Murray, looking like he could have a small improvement, but that all depends on how Holmes is doing. Looks like Holmes is blocking him a little bit there in the BMW. Despite him being on a run, I think it's just a bit too slow of an exit for the McLaren, and that compromised him severely. Holmes is going to leapfrog Dismukes in the standings. He's going to get himself into P15, but let's find out what the rest of the field now has to show us, as the last cars are coming through and last cars are now done, and it's time for the top brass. Gold class ahoy. Let's see what they have. 39 cars on the field today means that come race time, this is going to be a very congested racetrack. Hopefully we don't see too much dramas. We've already had a little bit of dramas, and it's not even race yet. This is just qualifying. Goes to show the margins at play. See a little bit of support here in the chat. I can see it as well. They're slow here compared to the Mustang. The Mustang does look like a strong choice, so I know the Wolfpack team are going to be absolutely singing the high songs, as this looks like all but their stomping ground. We'll hopefully see that translate into results here, but Lenatus starting his run off first of the top set, as 2-minute laps mean you're going to have on average about 4 runs per driver, excluding last minute runs to finish the session. You see just in the background there's Reed, there is I think Guillemard right there. A few more of the Wolfpack cars. There's Hermé, McNair, double BMW, I believe that is Ostrichars. No, Ostrichars is still coming out of the chase, that's my mistake. Another BMW driver out on the course. Could be Serrano. I believe that is, yes, that is Serrano right there in that was chrome purple BMW. I believe he's running the Evo variant as well, so, or let's say at least the variant in the game. I might be getting confused and crossing my wires a little bit there. Too much time in, shall we say, other places. Let's say very nice BMW M4 there. It's a solid platform. Can be a little bit pointy at times, but if you know what you're doing, you can control it quite nicely. Smoothly does it through and down the S's. Just get on the power. Quicker you can get on the power, the more you can get yourself a good lineup for Forest's Elbow and really surge down. But there's Damien Reed. He's spun coming out of the dipper, and he's going to be compromising his lap for sure. That is game over, at least for now. He's going to have to be on the back foot from minute 1. See McNair coming through just behind. I believe that's Johan Larsson as well. As that is going to be Lenatus now coming up to finish his lap, making his way through the chase, the final chicane, and to Murray's corner to finish. What time is he going to have? How is it going to stack up relative to the times that have gone before him? 201.9 from Radoslav Visharek is your time to beat. Is he going to do it? Yes, he is on first go, no less, 201.6. And Guillemard, 159. He's going to cross the sacred 2-minute barrier. And in his inaugural run. I mean, Guillemot knows how to throw the gauntlet down in the early stages of qualifying, and tonight is no different, it seems. Hermé with a 2-minute 0.9, Buckner 1.3, Johan Larsson a whole 8 milliseconds just behind him in the Mustang there. Margins getting ever tighter. Dave Marsh up to the line. Also, I think, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe that is a fresh switch to the NSX. I'm used to him. I believe he was running the Rexy Porsche. So that is certainly a change if so. Chris Bourne coming through up into 5th place, but still so far only one car has snuck under the 2-minute threshold. Guillemot is going to be holding that dominant position. Let's see if the rest of the field has something to answer. Wolfslenner up to the line. Lindblom only getting a 2-minute 0.3 in his inaugural run. See, Wolfslenner has anything in the pocket. It's a 2-minute 0.5, so not quite there. I think this might be just the opener that sticks, unless Guillemot somehow has even more in the tank. His delta might be indicating he's got even more to give, although a little bit slow out of Forest Elbow might harm his chances. Crucially as well, he's just outside of the slipstream of a certain Linatus, so he's going to be losing a little bit of time coming out of the Conrod straight and into the chase. If he can make that time through the final chicane, looking good, looking clean. Sector 2 and 3 are his stomping ground. It's only Sector 1 where he's dropped relative to the others. Hoping for a smooth, clean finish. Very nice final corner. Darting to the inside, and it's a 59.8. Curiously, Sector 1 is where he gained the time. Here we are, second wave now coming through. Björklund, 2-minute 0.3. And just getting ahead of Lindblom there. Hermé improves to a 2-minute flat as well, but a 0.740 means that, like many others, he's going to fall shy of that hallowed 1-minute starter point. Dave Marsh, mild improvement to a 201.1, and then the rest of the field is going to be following suit. It's low 201s, high 20s, and with that, a lot of the field is going to be teeing up for what potentially might be their final run already. The session is young. We still have the race ahead of us, and quali only tells half of the story, of course, but first impressions are looking good. They're really looking good for many of the cars out there today. Lindblom, minor improvement by 1/10 of a second. So eking closer. It looks like he's really pushing that car. He's giving it everything, pushing the limits there. And a part of me wonders if he's given everything he has to give on this circuit. Guillemot's going to be heading into the pit, curiously. His question is, will he stay in there, or is he going to go out for another shot? Looks like he's dropped on the springs, and yes, he's out there. He's back out. He's going to go for one more try. We'll see what Guillemot has to prove more as we go through this session. Hermé coming up to the line. Looks like he's getting a massive improvement. This could be something special here. All going to be in that Sector 2 time. It's a 2-minute 0.1. So close. Closest driver to do it. But not quite there yet. He's just not there. He needs that final push, that final squeeze, if he's going to be able to get into that 159. Still, some solid improvements across the board. Nobody is out of the count just yet. Chris Bourne up to the line, 2-minute 0.5. He's going to leapfrog Patrick Larson. Wolfsledder also making an improvement as he makes his way down Conrod. So a few more cars are going to be following suit. James Payton, for instance, to a 1.6. Really needs to get into those low ones. Does just that with a 0.165. Lindblom still pushing harder, but looks like he's conceding. He's heading into the pits. He has stopped. And that is going to be game over. Current championship leader David Lindblom has met his match in qualifying as Wolfslenner has done the unthinkable, and he's made the second car in appearance in 159.917. Those Mustangs seem to be a force to be reckoned with around this course. There's no mistaking it. Once is a coincidence, twice is a pattern. At least in this context, it most certainly is. And those Mustangs, they're carving up quite the pattern on this race course. But final 10 seconds here in qualifying. The Polish BMW, in all its glory, is going to be Ostrishaz. The number 30, the 39th position, but that could very quickly change. He just needs a clean run. And this is his only chance to do it, so even a more conservative run will still lend you big time. Coming up to the start-finish line here, it is going to be enough for P18 at least, 202.395. So just behind Visharek in the order, and Damien Reed is going to be in P20, curiously, the 202.5. Last runs on the board, and we can see many heading into the pits conceding, knowing that they won't have anything better than what they've already achieved. Larson, for instance, was heading into the pits. Here's Bourne, 2-minute.3. Improves on time, but not position. Paul Hamby, looking very sharp with a fresh coat of paint in that Mercedes, it looks like. So a couple of different coats of paint adorning the racetrack. Very curious as to who has got new cars, who's got new paint here. But we'll see how this goes. Cause say great to see all the racers popping up in chat as well as being there on the race course. 39 strong. And in the chat too. Say best of luck, of course, to everyone on the track here. As we round out the line, Guillemard is going to be, of course, your leader. And going to be the car that takes pole position out of today's qualifying session. Closely followed by Peter Wolfslenner, although there is quite a margin to climb, and Guillemard is certainly not going to be making it easy for his fellow Wolfpack racer. Oscari Herme is going to be the fastest non-Mustang of the event, and barely scraping just below 2-minute.102. Moving on to the silvers, it's going to be Radislav Visharek continuing to show that he has got some serious pace under that hood, and he's all but ready to take the teeth to that championship battle. He's going to be pole for the silvers, closely followed by Alex North, just about 0.6 of a second away, and then it's Paul Murray, who is going to be even closer, less than a tenth, 65 milliseconds, you can see on your screens. But quite a close-knit battle in silver, just as much the same as in gold. But not to be outdone, bronze is going to go to Barry Finley, continuing to surprise. He shows up in the Mustang, he brings out a spectacular time, refuses to elaborate, and then leaves. He's got a really strong opener here in Bathurst, and in that Mustang particularly, he could really lean into its strength and the advantage. Peter Smith is going to be in second place in the 113 McLaren, looking very sharp indeed. And then Frank Tennant, bright red Mustang, but looking bright as well with his red number 44, and third place of bronze, just 12 milliseconds behind Smith. So the margins are tight. Margins are tight as can be. And of course, in a moment, we will be seeing who is going to bring it race time. Anyway, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, your full grid walk ahead of the race itself. It's, of course, Guillemard and Wolfslenner taking your front row in the Wolfpack Mustangs, closely followed by the NSX duo of Oscari Herme, followed, rather than trailed, by David Lindblom in fourth. Björklund and Chris Bourne going to make another Wolfpack duo in the Mustangs. It's the 444 and 118 cars respectively. And then row 4 is going to go to Colin McNair in the Nismo number 13 Iron Brew livery. Beautiful stuff. Come to love it. And the 848 of Johan Larsson. Rounding out your top 10, it's going to be Patrick Larson in the 230 Mustang, closely followed by the number 12 Audi R8 of Thomas Linatus. Matthias Holmberg is going to start off row 6 and the next set of 10 alongside Dave Marsh in what can only be described as a very sweet looking NSX. James Payton in the Mercedes AMG alongside, I believe that's Paul Hamby. Yes, it is Paul Hamby in the number 84. Mercedes AMG is going to join him in that, with Serrano in 15th in that chrome purple 212 BMW, and Justin Cutler in the black and gold for Six Sigma Sim Racing. Radislav Visharek in the Ferrari 296 alongside the most Polish BMW to ever exist is Adam Ostrachals in the 74, and then rounding out your next 10, it's Alex North alongside Damien Reed. That completes your next 10, and then we get to the second half of the grid. Paul Murray, driver that has impressed alongside many others. Brandy Zimmer in the bright orange Ferrari, as we come to know, along with Rich Arscombe in 23rd and Robert Homer in 24th position. Another impressive showing. Barry Finley in the 891 Mustang, of course, leading the way for bronze alongside Eero Fisuri in the silver. Peter Smith is going to be closely tagging behind, and then Frank Tennant in the number 44 Mustang, as discussed, your top 3 for your bronze qualifiers. Christian Sullivan is going to be in the 41 Chrome Blue Porsche, and Craig Morrison in the McLaren Shadow-themed 213 720S. Trickett, they're looking very bright in that 115 Porsche. I was worried for a second he wouldn't place, and then Diekman in the Porsche as well, with almost the very regal green. Stuart Holmes certainly catching the eye in his BMW, with Dismukes doing much of the same. Then you have the stealth black of Olsen in the number 949 Lambo, David Smith in the other McLaren, and Michael Ball in 37. Briefly teleporting to the pit lane. And Neil Thurton, along with Rick Quinkellerberg, are going to complete your order. And with that, we start our formation. That's where things are going to get underway, and things are going to get interesting, folks. So, of course, if you are new here, then first off, welcome. Consider subscribing if you enjoy what we do. But also, if you are new here, then we ought to explain our race format. It's a 60-minute race. No mandatory tyre change, but there is a mandatory pit stop, so you will need to stop and refuel at some point during the race. There's no fixed pit window, but we expect drivers to be reasonable with their stints as not to cause unnecessary risk. We typically see drivers go half and half perfectly, 30 minutes, or at least as close to as they possibly can, really optimise the stints as best they can. Toe a fine line between following the leader, following their cadence, or daring to strike out with an over or undercut. It's all a crucial part of race strategy, and it's all why it's so important to get that right out the gate. Fuel accordingly, get yourself into prime fighting position, and then start to clock in your steady laps. Of course, another final time of asking before we get into the race. If you have anyone that you're rooting for, let us know in that live chat, and like the stream if you're considering joining us for the long haul and you enjoyed what you've seen here this evening, because we've got plenty to go. We've got a whole season ahead of us. We've got a whole calendar ahead of us. We're only on round 4 of 10, remember, folks, so won't want to be missing what we have to come. So let's have it then. Down to formation speeds. Drivers will be instructed just after the chase to get into double file. They have now slowed down to allow for everyone to catch up, just to get sufficient heat into their tyres. It's 7 PM local time here at Mount Panorama. The track is looking lovely. 22 degrees. It's cooled down a little bit, but I'm sure temperatures are going to be the least of their worries around this circuit. You can see everyone now lining up, getting into racing positions. Who's going to be the first to lose their head? Who's going to be coming out on top and keeping their cool? It's all to play for. Bathurst awaits. The green flag is about to drop. The track is hot for round 4 of SIMseniors Season 10, and it's about to get wild. Here we go. We are off, and immediately there's going to be a hard push from GMR to claim that inside line to really close that apex off. You can see there's Leanblom going for the aggressive attack as Hermé is going to go alongside and get a run down on Wolfslenner coming out of turn 1. Chaos already ensuing as there is contact up and down the field. We already have a couple of casualties, and the field is really condensing fast. The number 231 car, that is Holmberg. That is going to be a serious issue as Reed is, curiously, I think, starting in the pits. I think there's a problem there, some kind of issue, but mild contact up and down the field. Everyone just squabbling for paces. Just make sure you get into single file when it counts. You don't want to be going double file, like, for example, here on the cutting. Ostrachar's playing a very risky game. No opportunity for error there at all. You have to trust in your racing compatriot like your life depends on it. But Zimmer has been caught out of luck, and he is down for the count. Let's get that replay immediately. Make sure we waste 0 time capturing that moment. And then we'll cut back up straight to the top. Looks like he's just overestimated himself. He comes right across the Serrano, trying to get this race started. Has not gone well. You can also see in the background Quinn Kellenberg making a collision with the wall. And it looks like there is more chaos happening as we cut back to real time. We just saw on board with Stuart Holmes as that was Smith, both Smiths, Disbuquets as well, Peter and David. They're all involved in a multi-car incident, and they are in serious trouble trying to get back up and all get it back together. Zimmer also suffering majorly. Back to the top. A clear pecking order has formed. Gayamar, 2 seconds already has been gained. First lap, and looks like things are already pretty wild. Hopefully we get to see them settle down and we see some true wheel-to-wheel combat. As Leanblom is going to be keeping fellow NSX driver Hermé honest for what looks like to be a significant chunk of the race. Diekman is under pressure as he wants to get past Holmes, but Holmes is laying claim to that apex. Potentially a switch back here. Here is the Porsche on the push now. Battle for 4th. Looks like he has that inside. Meanwhile, Eero having a bit of a fight of his own is Alex North just up ahead. It's 2 very similar drivers in terms of style. This one is all about being patient and being smooth with your inputs, not being too erratic, because these drivers do not fall for such frivolous tactics. They will yield in a self-preservation scenario, but they are not afraid to hold their ground should it come to it. See Diekman continuing his pressure on Holmes. He's not going to be taking no for an answer as now Trickett is on his case. He's on his rear. We do have a yellow flag coming out. That's for Peter Smith. A session that's gone from bad to worse, unfortunately, as he's hot off the Comrod straight into the dirt and gravel. Looks like he's actually having to stay off the track because he spent that much time off course that he's actually being lapped right now, and we're only on lap 2. He's limping his way down the left side of the course. He's going to have no choice but to get into that pit lane and hopefully get his car fixed in a semi-timely manner. Meanwhile, continuing to put pressure on Ascari here. 169 NSX. Really giving him a good run. Serious speed from the both of them. And Hermé, likewise, is going to be putting a bit of pressure down on Wolfslanner. Big fan of these two. How they're no doubt going to be sparring over much more of this race distance as the session continues. Make sure, of course, that we don't miss out on that. And keep an eye on the rest of the field at the same time. A couple of local yellow flags coming out, but things have largely calmed down. Arscombe is on the back of Morrison, but we also have a couple of people in the pits. Reed returning out of the pit following his start in there. Zimmer is in. Peter Smith is in as expected. How is David doing? David looks like he's relatively okay. He's certainly bearing less damage than his duo on the course here. Looks like Holmes has had a major issue. He's dropped a ton of time. And oh no, there's Trickett straight into the wall there, losing control out of Suleiman Park. Just like that, he's marooned on the course and he's waiting for that window to be able to spin his car back round and get back into the race. Managing to swing by just with enough room, tight enough of a turning circle to make it happen. Morrison ducking off the side. Sullivan and Tennant. He's going to be limping his way down the Conrod straight. Not looking good for him there. The situation improves, but lap 3 laps in. So far, Gaimar proves to be a strong and dominant figure out of this session. See Marsh doing much of the same, just gauging Larson right now. Doesn't want to go too far on it, but will have a chance to go for the attack. Just needs to, I think, bide his time a little bit more. Craig Morrison heads into the pits. Olsen on the hunt for Holmes' position. Looks like Olsen is really bringing a bit of confidence to the spot as well. This is battle for P5, remember. Holmberg and Reed unfortunately marooned from the rest of the gold drivers. Similar story for Morrison and Zimmer. They're going to have a lot of catching up to do. Ostrachars. We'll see how he's doing as well. But coming up to 10 minutes in, and looks like despite a couple of chaotic moments in the open, drivers have gravitated quickly to this track. I think enough seasons of running it have well and truly acclimatized racers. Remember, a lot of these racers are veterans, having been on this track multiple times over the course of previous seasons. It is a bit of a fan favorite. There is a reason it keeps making its appearance in the calendar. With that in mind, it does not surprise me that we are seeing much more consistency than we may have seen in previous times. See what Marsh has in store. It looks like he's going for a bit of a challenge. Johan Larsson going a little wide. Not going to try and go for it into the cutting, is he? No, thank goodness. That is way too high risk of a corner. I don't think that is very viable that would be a viable move, really. Back at the top as well, the two NSXs once again. I wonder if we'll see a little bit of collaborative effort from them, considering the Mustangs seem to be the pick. And Gayamar is off into the distance. Let's be frank with ourselves. Gayamar is well and truly off into the distance. I wonder if we'll see a little bit of collaboration from the two NSXs. Recognize the situation, understand that we have got a bigger issue at play. Know that in order to move forward, you're going to need to work together. Some form or another. So we have got an issue from Dave Marsh. He's off the side of the chase. Losing it in the chicane. Either outbraked himself or spun on the exit. Both very viable options and can easily happen. Looks like he's going to take the chance and use this early blowout to jump into the pits and almost undercut his own strategy. Maybe the thought process is get into some clean air and then you'll be able to perform much better with little pressure. Right, 10 minutes and looks like Wolfslander has made a crucial mistake. He's gone down. He's gone around the outside. And he's not looking like a confident driver all of a sudden, as he's very much wobbling in the face of pressure from the NSXs. We have got a yellow flag as well. That's going to be the 113 once again. That is Peter Smith. The situation has gone from bad to worse. And the straights are looking dire. Christian Sullivan looking to make the best out of some of the chaos that he's been seeing around him. Looks like Frank Tennant, a little bit erratic on his way up the cutting. This is the scary thing with Bathurst. It can make you drive, sometimes in less than ideal ways. And it's all the more important to keep that cool head, keep that calm, composure, because you cannot risk any kind of erratic driving. For one, you lose control and there's no safety net here. You will not get the helping of a runoff or a gravel. You will just hit that wall and it will not be pleased to meet you. But also for the other drivers, if you make a mistake and let's say you spin, as we saw in qualifying at the start of the race as well, if you make that mistake, you are going to be causing a major roadblock. That is a major issue in its own right. So no success for you there. So, opener looking good. Liam Blom on the hunt now. He's been separated from Hermé by about a second, but that's not going to stop him from driving at his best. 2:02 last lap. 2:03 is his best compared to Hermé's best of a 2:510. Technically has higher peak pace, but it's about whether he can keep that consistent and weaponize that higher pace. Let's find out who has got what it takes here. Visharek making a mistake into Quarry, or at least getting overtaken on the way up. So he's now going to be fighting for his life in third place, challenging once again on the second. The field has the offer. Nearly 15 minutes already, almost a quarter of the way through the race, and seriously impressed with the amount of consistency. We have had, of course, a couple of incidents here and there, and we had got a stop and go, in fact, for Smith, just to add a little bit of insult to injury. We did lose 2 cars. We're down to 37 races, but everyone, for the most part, is still going strong. We don't see anyone who is outright marooned on the circuit, so short of maybe Smith, as Smith has unfortunately had a very rough start, but got to admire the grit. I really admire the grit. The fact he's still going, even only with half the laps on the board to his next closest driver. That is going to be a test of determination. He's going to unfortunately spin out here, and he's going to have a rough moment trying to get back on track, but like I say, he keeps going. He just keeps on going. And for that, you can never fault him. You never can fault a driver like that. He's just willing to keep pushing forward. Oh no, Bull! He's spun around and actually caused Stuart Holmes to take evasive action, briefly impacting the wall. Luckily he managed to recover well, but Bull has definitely seen better days. I do feel bad for the man. And he's got such a nice livery too. Got such a nice livery too. Shame to see that beautiful livery solo down. David Smith is going to be following in Peter's footsteps, as he's going to have a brief offing at the chase, although seems to be faring much better. Although I do not have any intentions of jinxing it, so that's where I'm going to leave that point. Wait a second, what's happened? Something has happened. Lenatus? What's going on here? Okay, we're going to have to call the yellow flags on this one and go a little bit back in time. Oh, Lenatus, not Serrano. Lenatus with Hamby, which means that he's chasing on to Patrick Larson. But looks like he just took a bit of the marbles and brief contact with Hamby, smacking into the wall. And it's just gone from bad to worse. Looks like his steering might be severely compromised, as his pace is much lower. And he's really wringing out that car as best as he can. Aero is shot. The steering most likely has taken a hit. Multiple side impacts. Tank slapper on the inside of McPhillamy. You can see right there, he's barely able to hold it on enough to make it to the pit lane. So he's of course going to be coming in, repairing that damage as soon as possible. Bull's going to do the same. He's already in there. And now time to see where the rest of the field stands. Serrano could be coming in hot. Looking at the top, taking stock of the top positions, is Guillemard now pulling almost 7 seconds on Herme. Lindblom of 1.5 seconds behind, having made it past Wolfslander and Björklund, tailing the whole scenario behind, just waiting for a chance to strike. Just heard Tommy's using all the swear words he knows. I believe that. I absolutely believe that. Yeah, no qualm. No qualm, no question. I would expect that. But still, he's keeping on trucking. Anyway, that's your top 5 on the gold side of things. Silver is going to be Paul Murray. He's going to have a solid handle on things with 7 seconds between himself and Vishrek right now. So certainly named himself as the leader of the pack and got himself a bit of a decent pocket. I say Payton could also be looking to make a gain, but they Murray, Vishrek and Homer are your top 3 with Vissuri and North, 4th and 5th, and you can see further down on that board as well, it's Finley, Tennant, Sullivan, Diekman and Queen Kellenberg as your top 5. I've got to say, good recovery from Queen Kellenberg despite a difficult opener. Very impressed with what he's been showing. He's still looking very damaged, mind, so I wonder how much he is limping the car, so to speak, throughout this race. But he's still going to move forward. Meanwhile, Björklund, could he be challenging on Wolfslander's position? Now, remember, Wolfslander started in second and, by all accounts, looked to be getting away with it in the same way that Guillemard has been doing right now, but not really showing that same drive. Not drive, but he's not being able to show that same consistency that we've seen from those other drivers, and why he's currently under pressure from a Wolfpack teammate. You see Frank Tennant also heading into the pits now. This is that interesting part of the race where things have started to mellow. The initial chaos has settled. And now it's just time to see the drivers put some laps in. You can see Björklund continues to put on pressure. Larson also. The Larsons going at it with each other. Say Tennant, that's going to be him returning out of the pit lane. Damien Reed in the pits too. A couple of local yellows, I think in part due to a couple of drivers with repeated issues. Lenatus has had a race go from bad to worse, unfortunately. Several yellow flags being called out for him. Didn't quite want to call attention to it on the broadcast, but looks like it's too big to ignore now. We'll see who has got the ability to keep it going forward. Looks like Sullivan is running slow, as that is going to be Finley making quick work out of that corner. Justin Cutler into the pits. Remember, we are coming to the halfway mark. That half-an-hour point is where we see things start to switch up. The pits start to come in. The new tyres are coming out. see what Bourne has in store, as well as chaos has erupted at the top. Lindblom's in the pits, Hermes in the pits. Wolfslander back up to second, but not to be outdone. I think we will see that position change. Lindblom's going to be heading out of the pits now, so Hermes not too long to follow. I wonder where these two are going to come out, but curiously, they are going to be in clean air. Now, if they've got any chance to make up time, it's going to be now. Lindblom, Hermes both have a chance to really push and forge ahead here. Though, curiously, concerningly, Hermes taking a very long time in the pits. Hermes been in there much, much longer and has lost the position. Significantly so. We're talking about 60-second pit stop compared to almost 2 minutes for Hermes right now. It's a ridiculous margin, and he's going to be in serious trouble. Over double the pit time. I think it's safe to say he's lost that position. A couple of yellow flags, unfortunately, making their way out for a couple of cars. In fact, let's rewind that one more time. We're going to jump on the helicam. It's the incident. It's the clash of the Larsons. We come our way up into Quarry Bend and into the cutting. And you see, it's the two of them running close, trying to capture as best we can. But you can see there's a Hermes proving to be a roadblock, and that being a catalyst for much greater events. You see, Larson might not be done yet, though, despite the contact. Still wants the spot, and Johan is going to be a sitting duck out there. The slipstream not going to be helping his case. So Johan Larsson going to take the chance and head into the pit lane along with Pedro Serrano. Both of them jumping in at this point as Christian Sullivan makes his way out. A couple of yellows as we have drivers now coming out of the pit lane. And of course, yellow doesn't just mean there's been a crash. It also means just caution in general. You have drivers coming out at a slow speed, trying to merge back into racing traffic. that would be a time where the yellows come out, albeit briefly. Just a local yellow to indicate there is slower traffic, there are slower cars in the course right now, and you got to be careful. So as that being said, Diekman looks like he's had half of his car smashed up and he's really running. Well, it looks like a fight to keep his car straight line. He's barely holding on and goes very wide into the chase. The multitude of cars heading in. There's Holmberg, Larson, Serrano, Homer, Finlay, Visharek all in together. And that's going to be Diekman going to be following suit as well. Serrano coming out is going to be one of the first of that cohort to get onto track, and he's going to be P14 for the time being. I'm not sure if that's going to stick exactly, because we do still have more cars to make their way through. And we will have, of course, more drivers that will mix that order up. We'll see a few more cars now go through. Murray, Vasuri, Ostrachaz, Hamby, just to name a couple. And this is where, like we were saying before, the order is set to change. Serrano is going to pass a chunk of these cars through the pit lane. And we will see some of them already emerge out in relatively quick time. We're going to see a brief squabble as Peyton just gets out ahead of Ostrachaz there. But Serrano is going to be beating at least most of them. He's not quite going to get ahead of Peyton, at least not cleanly just yet. He's still going to drag race him down, making his way into Quarry Bend. See Gamer and Wolfslander both in the pits right now. Of course, our race leaders, this is going to change things up for them, as they are not the last ones to head into the pits, and that's a crucial detail. Very crucial detail indeed, as they're going to be coming out into traffic. You can see Arscombe is going to be going toe-to-toe with Wolfslander briefly. I think Arscombe does have a chance at least gaining something here by running in this faster crowd. mimicry is a good way to get faster after all, and surprisingly potent. You'd be surprised at how well just copying the driver ahead of you can yield some good results. It's often a way that some drivers train. We'll see McNair and Bourne both head into the pits also, so just as quickly as they took the lead, they're going to be giving it back. Gayamar now coming up to the line. He's going to be followed, I believe that is by Sullivan, but Sullivan being down on laps is, of course, keeping them out of that real contention. We'll see, of course, Gayamar retake the crown, reclaim the throne, and Lindblom is going to come out strong. He's 6 seconds away from Gayamar, so small time gain, but the crucial thing is look at where Wolfslener is, and look at where Hermé is. Hermé is nowhere to be seen. He's all the way down in 22nd. Have a Herculean task to gain back the meaningful positions, considering the amount of silver class cars standing between him right now and the rest of his field. In a similar vein, Dave Marsh currently sat in P13 and at the bottom of the gold field, so wanting to make a bit of a splash and start moving forward. He's got 23 minutes on the clock. He's going to have to get a wiggle on if he wants this to make some moves. Really have to get that move on. See, there's a yellow flag on the field. There is, oh no, Hamby just overcooking it. We've got a major yellow flag on the course. Hamby is going to be returning to the pit lane. He's going to RTG there, return to garage, and that could be his race as good as over. Hopefully not the end of Hamby. He's able to recover, but whatever happened there, I couldn't tell you. In the pits, not coming out. And Kellenberg is having another yellow flag and continuing to fight his car, just like we saw him earlier. Just taking a ride on board with Holmberg as he's chasing Homer down. He could be getting very close. As a very neat move, making his way through there. A little bit of a tap on the inside of Forrest's elbow. Touching the edge, touching the apex. You can see he's managed to make it happen. He's got it done. Beautiful. Bathurst. Agreed, Bathurst is a very special track, I think. Oh, it's very risky. That's Anil. Losing the tail just ahead of Lindblom there. Scary stuff, but holding it together. Oh, looks like Lindblom's going for a little bit of grass trimming. Just a little bit too far out there, I'm afraid. That is going to invalidate the lap, but luckily no major lasting issues, no lasting penalty. Just a brief yellow flag. The number 949 car doing much of the same as Helga Olsen into the pits. Hamby and Reed are going to be in there too, but Reed has been in there for an extended period of time, as well as Hamby, so we're unlikely to see them back out on track. See, there's a Larson that's also on the aggressive here. That's going to be Vasuri in his sights. Now, this is something that always makes me very interested in these kind of multi-class races. Same machinery, they're not multi-class in the traditional sense, but you have 3 different sets of drivers, all in different pace brackets and all running their own championships independently of one another. So I always find it curious how much fight and how much push drivers are going to apply to drivers that are outside of their field. Do they go more aggressive because there's less personal consequence for a failed attempt at an attack? Do they go less aggressive and maybe use them to push along? Any kind of strategy could be viable depending on the context and the scenario. And having multiple classes on the field does allow for some very unique opportunities, as well as multiple sets of drivers having a chance to really feel like they can compete for a championship. I can tell you, if you had bronze drivers competing with golds in the same championship, things would be a lot less interesting. We would have a lot less drama, a lot less potential championship shake-ups. Well, for one, because there will be 66% less of them, but also just because there would be less competition. It would be more established who the top runners are, even more so than many real-life championships that we see day to day. So, 15 minutes. Larson attacks. Vasuri on the outside there, and Vasuri off into the grass. Taking a little bit too hot of a run there. Looks like he's going to be dropping both to Larson and Visharek, which is the important one here. Third in class is dropping down to, as Visharek is in. Visharek is in the same group and now has put Hiro in hot water. So Reed, curiously enough, was out on track following a very long pit stop, but then has decided to come in again. Marsh and Peyton both could be up for a challenge. Looks like Michael Bull is having a major issue on the way down in the S's as things get a little bit sketchy. See all of them just tussling for the same space, even a couple of cars looking a bit scuffed up. As not sure if that's Patrick or Johan Larson there. I think that was Johan, but actually no. I am misreading that one entirely. That looks like a very rough and tumble Mustang right now. Oh no, saying that has gone off. That is going to be, in fact, that's Frank Tennant. So, different subset of racers entirely. And Michael Bull certainly having better days. It looks like he's almost stuck, and oh, he's going straight across the track, and that's into North. That is straight into the path of North, trying to enter the pit lane. Oh, North is not going to be happy there. Brutal impact. Bull cut straight across the track, and I think, yeah, North has just straight up left the session. He has completely left the session, and I can understand. I can honestly understand. That came out of nowhere. I think Bull certainly could have exercised a bit more awareness in that situation. It is over the crest of the hill. It is over the crest of the chase, so there's certainly an argument to be made, but at the same time, you're responsible for a safe rejoin. And if it's not safe, then it's not safe. And you don't rejoin. Drivers have access to radars, all other equipment. So that was, I think, of course, speaking from a commentator's perspective, I want to authoritatively state I am not a steward. I am not a steward, nor do I have any sway or hand in the process. I can render my opinion, but leave it to the experts when it comes to actual penalties. But I certainly think Michael Bull needs to be a little bit more aware in that scenario of his surroundings, as that has been quite the catastrophe, and we have lost a driver over it. Reed and Hamby both back in the pits and staying there long term. Bull into the pits as well. Of course, his original intent, as Serrano and Peyton are going to go for it, and Serrano's actually gone off the side of the track. Going into lap 23. Veered off to the side. You can see Marsh as well going on the challenge. Cutler is in his front view. Of course, if you have any thoughts on those incidents, and of course keep it civil, but feel free to render your thoughts in that live chat. Give us your takes on that scenario. See, Marsh is he's very keen for Cutler's spot. He's very keen for that top 10 almost, as it could be within reach with some good driving. See, Cutler holds the lead. Cutler is the car to beat. But is that going to be a momentum that stays in his favour? Half a second down now, as they both make their way through quick as they can. Marsh is certainly under a lot of tension as the final 10 minutes are officially now upon us. Olsen, local yellow flag, as we do have Olsen jumping into the pit lane. We're going to actually take a bit of a replay and see a couple of incidents that we missed. So first off is a local yellow from Andy Trickett, and then we'll take a look at what happened to Olsen. The best session laps coming out from a couple of other races as well. It looks like Trickett is not so much exhibiting yellow flag behaviour, but just showing a good amount of on-track respect. I'm not sure why it is showing again the Trickett incident, but I guess we'll have one more look just for posterity. One more casual look at what Trickett had to show us. And then here we are. Here is the one we want. Here is Helge Olsen. So making his way down into Skyline through some of the S's. Just darting and weaving behind. I believe that is Frank Tennant, and just spinning, unfortunately, coming out of the dipper. It's too much rear angle, rearward bias, and that is curtains as he's returned to the pit wall. So Marsh once again on the back of Cutler. Now he's not got much time here, so if he wants to make this happen, he's got to make it count. Quinn Kellenberg spinning on the final straight. Too much on the exit maybe, or just dipping into the grass on the outside. Down into P26. Although I think he was in that position anyway, he's just lost a lot of time. The dirty air is very hit or miss here, I would say. It depends on who you are behind, what kind of car you are behind. I think that has a little bit of an impact. I would say it's middle of the road. Dirty air effect wise, it's yeah, middle of the road. So you get a decent boost, particularly coming out of Conrod and into the chase, but you do lose some cornering speed. Unless you're talking Skyline and S's, in which case it's mechanical. A lot of it is mechanical. Holmberg could be one that is trying it on. The chase hero commits to standard line. Not going to be showing any signs of faltering, any signs of wavering under pressure. And I certainly would not be wanting to show any signs of weakness to my opponent. Could be vital points on the line. Okay, Holmberg is going to be able to get round. He's trying to reunite with the gold class cars, but Hero is in an odd spot as he is technically safe. He's not got Homer to worry about. Though he could have used a gold class car as a buffer. That's the other element. If you're a slower car, you can hold behind, albeit not too obstructively. If you can keep another car from a different class behind you, then that serves as a buffer. Another car that they have to overtake at no cost to you. The more cars you can put between yourself and your opponent, the better things are. To hit 8 PM on the dot, local time, here at Mount Panorama here at Bathurst, and track has stayed quite light. We've got some daytime running lights on as the sunset crows over the hill. But 20 degrees still, so keeping it nice and warm. Got to keep things smooth, and at this point just be consistent. Like, for example, we've been on board with GameR for about half a lap or so, coming up to a full lap now. And the big takeaway right out the gate is understanding that you have to just bring it home at this point. This is GameR's race to lose. Liam Blom is 13 seconds away and he's not showing any signs of catching up. This gap has been peeled open wider and wider over the course of this whole race through just solid, consistent running and hard work. KMR even getting the fastest lap of a 1:59.982. That's on lap 23 of the race, so actually not too long ago even, to show that even at the dying embers of a session, there was plenty to offer. But final few laps. We'll be expecting we finish on lap 30 at any rate, as KMR just crossing the line at lap 27. Elga getting a bit of slideways action as yellows come out. In a crazy turn of events, however, Tennant is in the pits with 4 minutes to go, so something has gone wrong, either with the strategy or with the car. A little bit concerned as Tennant was otherwise running, I think, in a decent spot, and now has made a lot of work for himself. He has confirmed lost at least 3 positions thanks to that pit stop. Could be crucial for him points-wise. Marsh on the outside, still on the chase with Cutler, but he's running out of time. He knows that he needs to get this done pretty much immediately if he wants to have any chance at that position. Whether he keeps it or not is a moot point. What matters is, oh no! Hang on a second, there is a major incident. Is Peter Smith sideways on the course? We're going to rewind the clocks just a little bit here. Understand exactly what happened. So let's have a quick look here. Peter Smith making his way. You can see there's Linatus spinning. He doesn't know where to go. He makes serious impact with Linatus. He's going to capture multiple cars in the crossfire. I believe that was, I want to say, Wolfslenner who was caught in the crossfire there. Yes, it indeed was. Chris Bourne is going to be just behind him too. And I have no doubt that both of them are certainly going to be worried about bringing this home. Now, I think Bourne actually avoided contact, so good on him there. But Wolfslenner? Oh, Wolfslenner is really going to be in trouble now. Visharek is going to be overtaken by Visuri. He's retaken second spot. And so proud of himself should he be. Managed to take it in the closing moments on the penultimate lap of tonight's racing here. Visharek is still on the back foot as he's trying to do his best to catch up to the Porsche, but it's not quite happening there. Hermé has made a little bit of a recovery since his dismal pit stop on the back of Arscombe and Homer too. Still chances to go for it. Wolfslenner under pressure. Bourne on the left. Making our way up through the cutting and out to Reed Park. Bourne is certainly not waiting any longer. He knows that Wolfslenner's on the back foot and this is his time to shine. 1 minute left to go. MR about to start the final lap. Wolfslenner on the offensive as Bourne is trying to attack him even harder. He's on the defensive offense, if you will. Aggressively trying to cut off lines and protect his space. TGMR now coming up to the start-finish line any minute now. Albeit a few seconds slower. There is race control. The leader has started the final lap and Rich Arscombe has got an incident warning. Maybe making contact with Finley, but here goes Bourne. Third position. And Wolfslenner not really having many options to do anything about it. Visharek is still keeping that fight alive. And Tennant is running slow. In fact, he's running very slow here, but the timer has elapsed, ladies and gentlemen, meaning that next lap closes it all for the leader. And I gotta say, as we switch over to him on his way through Solomon and McPhillamy, what a run AMR has had. He's fourth in the championship. He dominates in qualifying. He really shows what that Mustang is capable of. Keeps that top tier run all the way through the session undisturbed, unmatched. All the way through from minute 0 to minute 60. Now down through Forest Elbow and into the Conrad Straight, there is one driver who has stood tall above the rest. Yet with Holmberg running very slow, he's going to have to peel off the side of the track, but here he comes, Frederick Guillemard. Take a bow. Beautiful race. Certainly a session to be proud of, and I do believe this will be what particularly ticks you over to that front of the championship fight, beating out even Lindblom as he comes to cross the line. What a showing, and the leader has finished. Out of the chase and in through the final corner, second, of course, it's a championship favourite. It's David Lindblom's second place, and a very impressive result with Chris Bourne capitalising on a last-minute upset. It's going to be third place for the 118 Mustang. Bourne sweeping his way through the final corner, and just like that, takes the checkered flag and takes top honours for his respective group. Moving forward briefly to some of the other classes on the course, looks like we will soon have bronze finishing, and Barry Finley, a quiet race, but one of his best. Sometimes the best races tend to be that way, and Finley is no exception. Around the final corner, number 891 Mustang is going to take it all and take the win for bronze, with Christian Sullivan not too far behind in second place, and Andy Trickett making his way now down through the Conrad Straight. That's impressive. Paul Murray's going to be just ahead of the others. Just going to be ahead of Trickett there. You can in fact see him in the background, but silver class winner. Great results, although very hotly contested, as you can see. Visharek and Visuri both chasing down as best as they can, trying everything that they have in their arsenal to get a last-ditch effort, but not to be. Murray, Visharek, Visuri close your silvers, and then also Trickett with your third podium spot in bronze. Last couple cars now making their way through. Looks like a last-minute dart in for Hermé. He's going to be passing the lapped car of Peter Smith to finish the race. And that's where we have it all left for today, folks. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see everyone finish. We did say goodbye to just a few. For example, Morrison, Ismakez, Hamby, as well as North. Didn't get to say hello to them on the racetrack, but that's at least where we do it for today. Now, of course, there's plenty of championship left to go, folks. There is not going to be any shortage of action, considering we are next week at Kyalami. Beautiful track, great race to be at, and certainly one of my personal favourites. So that's where we're going to leave it, at least for tonight, folks. Of course, thank you as always for being an amazing audience. See you next week for Kyalami, but for now, at least, it is goodbye from me. Take care, be well, and we'll see you next week.